Hey everyone, welcome into the latest episode of Nebraska Shootaround. But first, before we get into basketball, let me talk to you about the Omaha Supernovas. Did you know it's pro time in Nebraska? The Omaha Supernovas hit the court for the first ever Pro Volleyball Federation match on January 24th, that's next week, against the Atlanta Vibe at the CHI Health Center. The first serve is set for 7 p.m., and you can secure your season and single match tickets now at supernovas.com. All right, Jacob. Well, where do we begin? Two road losses for Nebraska. Let's start with Iowa, and then we'll get to the pain of Rutgers after that. They both were decently painful, though.
Yeah, it was a rough Friday night for Nebraska athletics. I filled in for you covering the Nebraska game because you were covering Nebraska, Iowa, in a different sport. That did not go any better, unfortunately. But, this was a rough one. We talked about, they've looked pretty good at home now. Can they go out on the road and get a win? And the answer is resoundingly no.
Is the K-State win a mirage? Like, is that just like
a little bit because they played awfully on offense in that game,
right?
And
K-State
just rebounded the heck out of the ball, and K-State was even worse. Like Nebraska did not play well in that game. They just Kansas State just played worse.
Just not good right now.
Yeah. So. Yeah, it was a 94-76 loss to Iowa, where
official attendance was 9,670. It was more like 900,670.
They got plenty of reasons to get loud though for the people that were there because man, did Iowa put on a show.
Yeah,
Nebraska just. I mean, it was competitive in the first half.
Not great.
It was only a 5-point game at halftime, but in the second half, it just continued to kind of slip away from them. Defensively, they just gave up look after look after look. And on offense, they couldn't throw it in the ocean after, 3-4 games in a row with double-digit threes. They finished 4-26, while Iowa went 15 of 35.
Yeah, 42% or 43 almost percent from three is you're winning every single time.
Yeah. And most of those
especially when you take 35 tips.
and most of them were wide-open looks. Nebraska, just for whatever reason, was not ready to play defensively. Just breakdown after breakdown. They gave up. So Tony Perkins had 15 assists.
That's crazy.
I believe 7 or 8 of those were for three-pointers, and another 4 or 5 were for dunks. Owen Freeman, the freshman, had 22 on 11 and 13 shooting, 10 boards. I think he had 7 dunks. So Nebraska was giving up dunks and threes. And seemingly every single time down the floor. So that's a bad combination.
Never mind. I'm going to save this for later. Yeah. But, it just wasn't good.
No. So they just were not ready to play. Shout out to Josh Dix, who best game of his career to that point. 16 points, 5 of 7 from 3, a couple of assists in 27 minutes. The
Nebraska
Abraham Lincoln product out of Council Bluffs.
Nebraska was 4 of 26 from 3.
Yeah.
That's just that's just jacking.
Yeah.
At what point is it just we're just going to keep firing?
You're not going to win a game when you get outscored by 33 points from the three-point line.
No.
Just not going to work. So, that disappointing loss. It's seemingly winnable game as far as road contests go.
A few now here.
Yeah, Iowa's definitely getting better. And they've got some offensive talent. But
they can't guard anybody.
In terms of road contests, winnability ranking, that one's more winnable than some of the others that they've had. And they followed that up, that loss, with the trip to Rutgers. And, oh boy, a lot of bad things in this one, unfortunately, to talk about.
The whole game was bad.
Well, I wouldn't say that.
Nebraska had the 2 spurts, one in the first half and one in the second half, where you go up by 12, and they looked really good.
Yeah.
And Rutgers couldn't do much, and then
the first 11 minutes of each half, Nebraska was hitting shots. They're moving the ball. They're sharing it well. They're executing pretty well, getting good looks, and guys were taking advantage. And then in the last 9 minutes and change or so of each half.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Nebraska took a 27-15 lead after Juwan Gary 3 with 8 minutes and 51 seconds to go in the first half. They went in halftime tied because they, over that last 8 minutes and 50, they went 2 for 12 from the field, 1 of 6 from 3, 4 of 6 from the line, and 5 turnovers. They just could not make a shot. Could not. The 2 buckets they had were back to back. And
they finished the first half with a 6:24 without making a field goal. The last 6:24 of the first half without making a shot.
Yeah. Those last possessions, missed 3, split free throws, turnover.
Yeah.
Missed 3.
And some of those turnovers were very unforced, like stepping out of bounds.
Stepping out of bounds, shuffling your feet, moving screen.
Yeah. The moving screen thing continues to be kind of an issue.
Yeah. It's just like little things that they're hurting themselves with. So you build up that 12-point lead and give it all away. Almost immediately, and now you're going in halftime, whole new ball game. All the work you did in the first half, completely wiped away. Then start second half, they get off to another good start, and they built up another 12-point lead.
Bryce Williams played really well, actually. Like, Bryce Williams is pretty good.
C.J. Wilcher hit a 3 to put him up by 12 with 9 minutes and 40 seconds to go.
They just let
and then the rest of regulation, 0 of 7 from the field, 0 of 4 from 3, 6 of 7 from the line, and 6 turnovers. The only time that they got to score was when Rutgers fouled them. And I think at least one of those with bonus on a rebound. So they didn't even go earn it on offense. So they just could not figure anything out. And
got a rebound.
Yeah, and you went into they tied it up and sent it to overtime there, 69-all. So, again, 2 12-point leads and just complete collapse on offense. And in overtime, I mean, back and forth. And then they just made a few mistakes down the stretch that let Rutgers stretch it out there. And like he had one where Jamarcus Lawrence fell asleep and gave up back cut.
There was multiple kind of back cuts or kind of not even screen and roll. It's just dudes getting lost just for open layups or dunks or whatever. Just nobody in the paint at all. They did a nice job of pulling Mast out of that, but you got to fill that on the back end. It just wasn't there.
Yeah, so Sam Hoiberg did his best, a couple of threes late, and then with some foul trouble, Matar Jope got in there to finish the game, had a really nice little short roll
assist
catch.
In overtime from
pass to Sam to give them a shot.
That was definitely not on the bingo card.
Yeah, no. It was not.
They went 9:39 without a field goal and still sent the game into overtime. That's how, not good Rutgers is.
Yeah.
It was 12 minutes and 38 seconds before they made a field goal, and there was a case A3 with 3:48 left in overtime. That's just I can't believe that the game went to overtime. It was just not a great game to watch. It was like throwing rocks.
Yeah, so again, 2 of 19 from the field, 1 of 10 from 3, 11 turnovers in the 2 stretches to end each half.
Yeah.
You're just not going to win basketball games playing like that.
Yeah, and they got out tough.
And
I mean, wasn't close. You give up 25 offensive rebounds. Okay, here's the thing about the offensive rebounds, though. When you watch the game, Rutgers takes and doesn't make bad shots.
Yeah.
And most of those bad shots are 3 long contested threes or long twos that turn into long rebounds.
And
the guards need to do a better job of rebounding.
Yeah. And there were definitely a few where it bounced over the head and it's bad luck, but there were also on the free throw late, Bryce Williams just gets pushed under the basket and because they missed 2 free throws and you get a chance to get a stop, go down, try to score there. You give up an offensive rebound after they missed the free throws and have to foul him right away again, and he hit both. It was simple. Just pushed under the basket. Ball went over his head. That's just a physicality, strength thing. Obviously, we'll talk about the reason why Bryce Williams is in that spot in a moment. But Rink Mass got out-muscled by Cliff Omarui quite often. So it was a combination of bad luck and Nebraska just getting out-toughed, out-physicaled.
This is the quote from Hoiberg. Rebounding is all about heart, guts, and toughness. Right now, we are just not good enough in that area to win consistently.
Yep. They were -9 in second chance points. They only got 20 points off those 25 rebounds. Right. So it wasn't like Nebraska was still defending pretty well. It's
again,
just
that's
too
how
many.
bad Rutgers is.
Just too much volume.
Rutgers
there.
came into the game 1-4, right, in the league. They were last in the league.
Yeah.
In the Big Ten, the absolute last in the league, and had one home win in the league. Their one win was home win in the league, which, hey, playing at Rutgers can be tough. The environment can be tough, all of those things. But when you control the game, that's why I think fans and other people are so disappointed, me included, is you control the game. You have opportunity in the first half to just put it away and just kind of cruise control, and they didn't. Yeah. And then the second half, same thing. You had the same opportunity. You're up by 12 on the road. You need to close the door. And they left the door wide open. And Rutgers walked in right through it and sat down on the couch and grabbed the TV remote and just started changing the channel in their house.
Yep.
I mean, it was weird.
And
not weird. It was inexplicable was the term that I used.
Preseason, what did we talk about as kind of the question mark on this roster? And like, did they have a guy that when you need a bucket can go get it?
No.
The point guard question was part of that. But just in general, did you have a point guard, a wing scorer, somebody that you can rely on to create a bucket when you really need it?
They did not.
And they did not. That's really what, like, they did not generate any good looks really down the stretch of either of the halves. Like, you go through and watch it, there was nothing there. Yeah. Every possession was absolutely struggling. No threatening penetration towards the basket. No, just straight up being your man, going and getting a layup. Nothing at the rim.
Part of the rebounding woes, if you will, and it still wasn't good, before. But Juwan Gary just stops.
Non-contact injury, running back in transition, just pulls up
at the 12:57 mark of the second half, but Bryce Williams goes at like the 2 possession, next possession, hits a 3, and you're like, okay, all right, calm down. You could feel it. Just watching on TV, you could feel the energy from the team just sucked out of it. Yeah. And yes, Juwan Gary had 6 rebounds, 9 points. He was playing pretty well, playing hard like he kind of always does. If he doesn't get injured and plays, it maybe changes the game, but it's still not.
1 to 2 more plays. Prevents that from getting it to that point.
One defensive rebound.
Exactly
one defensive rebound that he clearly is capable of going.
Or one offensive rebound when you miss a shot and he goes and gets you the garbage bucket. Either way, like
something in there could have changed it. And we haven't heard. We don't know in the particular
post game was foot ankle is all.
Yeah, post game he says foot ankle. The video did not look good. And the fact that he was on crutches and went immediately to the locker room and he had to be helped off and laid there for a while, not good.
Yeah. So
not good. He went like he was going straight to the locker room. Not ideal at all for them. So if he's out for a long time, that means Eli Rice it's time for him. Matar Drop maybe gets him a little more minutes, probably not a lot. But
they both got to be ready.
Josiah Alec has to be better.
And he fouled out, so did Rink Mass. And Rink Mass, 2 for 12 from the field. Hit 2 of his first 3 shots, little baby hooks, good looks. And then after that, could not throw it in the ocean. Omaru's a tough matchup for him.
Yeah. At Big Ten Media Days, we asked on the side about, Rink coming in from Bradley and the toughness part. And not toughness, but I guess Rink coming in from Bradley and playing against, bigger, stronger posts and all of those things. The one guy, one of the guys he said, along with Zach Edey, was Big Cliff, and he meant Omaruni. That's what he meant from Rutgers. And that dude was a dude last night. 15 rebounds. Just killed Nebraska on the glass. I mean, he wasn't doing much else. He was blocking altering shots, and 6 of 11 from the field, and 15 rebounds and 14 points. That'll do every day. So I don't know. This is what I was going to say when we were talking about Iowa. Is Rink Mass a little gassed right now? Is kind of my thing. Is he, or is it just the matchup? Yeah. Right. But it did feel like he was just he works hard. He plays hard. There's no question. But it also is he a little, is there ways to get him 30 seconds, a minute, whatever, break? Can you sub him out?
And gets more
before
difficult.
the media timeout.
Gets more difficult
before
now
the
with-
12
yeah,
minute or
it-
16 or whatever.
If
Probably the
Juwan
12.
Juwan Gary's out, that gets more
You gotta
difficult because now you're down to 2 big men basically. You had the 3-man rotation with Gary, Alec, and Mass.
You got to go guard heavy,
Yeah.
but your guards have to rebound.
Yeah.
And
So-
Eli Rice is probably going to play a little more if Gary's out for, which looks like it will be maybe an extended period of time.
So so you added literal insult to injury because that was a big missed opportunity. Again, arena formerly known as the Rack is not an easy place to play, even when Rutgers isn't playing well. Nebraska got to win out there last year. You had this one, and the fact that you let it slip away while losing one of your key players to an injury, that really hurts moving forward because when is the road win going to come? And now on top of that, basically, you're right back to where you started before the Purdue one in terms of like KenPom. They shot up, and they were 52 before that Purdue win, and they're 51 now in KenPom. So all the ground you made up with that win, you gave it right back with these 2 losses. Good news is they're coming home for a pair of
And they
home games.
fell from 53 to 58 in the net rankings, which, I wrote in the preview, like, this would not be a good loss. It'd be a bad loss. Just because I don't know if how much more is Rutgers going to win? That's the thing. It's like they're going to have to upset somebody somewhere.
So good news is they'll have to they got some time to figure out the road issues because they got 2 home games coming up.
And they did have 3 of the last 4 were on the road. It's kind of Rutgers had the same thing. 3 of the last 4 on the road is just the way the schedule kind of sits. But you look at now, you go back to Minnesota, which turns out to maybe not be that bad of a loss. But the way the game was played, should have won because you had a 20-point lead. And Rutgers, that are 2 losses that you're like,
you had the lead, couldn't secure it. So now you're staring at what 1, 2, 3, 0-4 on the road in league play.
Yes.
But yeah, again, they've got 2 home games to try to get right to figure some things out.
They're 3-4, and they very easily could be 5-2.
Yeah.
Like, and you're sitting at second place in the league if you're 5-2, and you feel really good, like really good if you're 5-2 in the league, and you're 13-3, or 15 and you're 15-3. You are very much so like, these guys are making the NCAA tournament, and not like one of the first 4 games.
Yeah. So
like without those 2 losses. Because the Purdue win will only help. The K-State win will only help. Wisconsin loss doesn't hurt that bad because they're top, 15 team in the country. It just, they got to, now you have Northwestern, who's 4-2 in the league, and they are 1-2 on the road, and they're coming into Lincoln on Saturday afternoon, and that is a pivotal game. Like, they have to win that game. Like, it's a one just for the feel around the team with the fan base and just all of that, and 2, you got to find some momentum here, and a big win against
a similar team.
Northwestern, one of the best point guards in the league. Boo Boo is really good. So
made some plays last night.
One of, if not the, just a couple. One of, if not the best point guards with Northwestern, and Fred Hoiberg hasn't beat Northwestern.
Yeah, it's been
that's
rough
a weird
against
stat.
The Wildcats.
That's a weird stat. They in the year never beaten Northwestern.
So you're going to try to do that for the first time, and then they'll stay home for Ohio State on Tuesday. We will recap those games and hopefully have and we'll have some news by that point on Juwan Gary and kind of what it looks like moving forward. But for now, this has been Nebraska Shootaround.